Happy Memorial Day, everybody. So, I thought it'd be fun to just make a quick list of some horror movies set during wartime to honor this day and the soldiers who have passed. So, the criteria that I used here for this is I'm trying to talk about maybe lesser known ones. That being said, while there is quite a few, this isn't a vast pool to draw from, so I'll probably end up talking about a good majority of them, to be honest. But I did compile a bit of a list here that I thought were underseen or under discussed. But I mean, I guess if we were to just kind of throw in a couple random titles that are bigger named ones that I feel like should be discussed, because they fit this so well. I would say that Jacob's Ladder is kind of like the perfect Memorial Day horror film, mostly just because it deals with the aftermath of war and what it does to someone's psyche. I think it's a great film for that exploration. So I definitely think it's one that should be discussed really quick. Another one here would be Overlord, which of course got a huge release, had a massive budget, but didn't get as much attention as I wished it would have. And if you missed out on Overlord in the theater, then you missed out for sure, because this had such an amazing theatrical presence to it, especially in that opening sequence when they're in the planes and the bombs are exploding and the planes get taken out, and it's really like massive in scale, and not something you see in many horror movies, mostly because they never get the budget and they're usually much smaller scale. But this takes place during World War II, and is really cool. I am a big fan of Overlord, and I just don't feel like it gets talked about enough. A franchise that I don't really like that much, but I figured I'd bring it up here really quick, is the Outpost movies, the Outpost trilogy, if you want to call it that. The Nazi subgenre, Nazi zombie subgenre of horror actually has quite a few entries in it. There's some, for some reason, they just kind of go well together, and there seems to be a good amount of Nazi zombie movies. But I just grabbed those off my shelf since I was grabbing other ones, and I thought that I might as well bring them up. But let's get into the actual list that I compiled. So as I had said, I'm trying to focus on movies that have soldiers as the main characters of the film, because there's plenty of horror movies that take place during wartime, but they're not dealing with soldiers. And because this is Memorial Day, I'm trying to more focus on the soldier driven stories versus something like The Devil's Backbone, which I just watched, which takes place during the war, but its focus is an orphanage and the kids that live there during the war. The tragedies that befall the civilians is tragic as well, and I'm not taking anything away from that, but because it is Memorial Day, I'm going to focus on the soldiers. Okay, first up here we have 2002's Death Watch. This one I feel like definitely never gets any discussion, and this takes place during World War I in 1917, and it has Jamie Bell as well as Andy Serkis, and it takes place in the trenches, which is where most of World War I was fought, so that makes sense. And British soldiers end up getting caught on the German side of the trenches, and then some supernatural things start taking place, and they don't know what to do or who to trust. Paranoia kind of sets in. Really cool movie. Definitely got overlooked upon release, but and there's a commonality between a good amount of these where there's some bigger named people attached to these, and they just kind of got overlooked. But this is a really cool one, and one of the only ones to take place during World War I. Most war movies in general usually go for World War II, and World War One usually ends up getting overlooked. But not for this one. Death Watch, definitely check it out. And for anyone wondering where this is streaming, I did take time to figure that out for all of these. This is on Prime, and for those of you who don't have Prime, it is free on Plex, Pluto, and Tubi. And this is from 2002, Death Watch, all one word. Okay, next up we have The Devil's Rock, another World War II film, since we talked about that with the Outpost movies at Overlord. As I said, the vast majority of these will take place during World War II, because that's usually who gets the lion's share of movies in any genre. It's just the most prolific war on record. So anyway, The Devil's Rock, this one is from 2011. It takes place in 1944, and it actually deals with Kiwi soldiers from New Zealand. And it's been a long time since I've seen a lot of these, but I do remember liking these quite a bit. But to my memory, they're like sent in to take out these gun emplacements that kind of help distract the Nazis away from Normandy right before, it's like on the eve of D-Day. And when they get in there, they realize that the Nazis are experimenting with the occult to try to unleash demonic forces to help them win the war. It is a pretty dialogue-heavy movie. One of the soldiers ends up talking to this person who's posing as his dead wife. That is a really cool conversation, and there's a lot of tension and whatnot. So very, very cool movie. Never hear anyone talk about it, and definitely check it out. This one you can find on Prime as well as Tubi. Frickin' Tubi coming in for the win, as always. All right, next up, I do not own this one. This is one that came out in 2020, very recently. A lot of people didn't like it. I was not one of them. I actually had a really good time with this movie. This is called Shadow in the Cloud, starring Chloe Grace Moretz. This has a big budget feel to it. I actually really liked the aesthetic of it. I thought it was really, really well shot. It takes place on a B-17 plane for the majority of the film. It's a creature feature. She gets on the plane, and there is a creature on board that no one will believe her about. Very similar to the Twilight Zone episode, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. And yeah, I mean, it's very big. And I just like this, the scope of it, the budget of it, it feels like a bigger film. And I just feel like it was completely swept under the rug, and a lot of people kind of shit on it, and I had a great time with it. I don't really know what the problem was with this one. I thought it was really cool, and it is currently on Netflix. And if you have a library card, you can check it out on Canopy or Hoopla. So there's that. All right, next up in 2002, a film I swear I own, but according to my iCollect, I don't have it listed. I looked on my wall really quick, didn't see it, but I swear I might have it in like a triple pack or something like that, but I swear I own this movie. This is another one I haven't seen in quite a while, but I remember liking it, and this is a movie called Below. It was written by Darren Aronofsky, of all people, and it was directed by the guy who did the Riddick movies, Pitch Black, Chronicles of Riddick. So it's got some bigger names attached to it there. Of course, once again, World War II, as is Shadow in the Cloud, if I didn't mention that. And it is about a submarine that goes on a rescue mission, and they rescue some of the passengers that were calling for help. And when they come on board, it becomes this kind of claustrophobic paranoia film with delusions. You don't know who to trust. And, set in a submarine, claustrophobia is a pretty easy thing to feel. So this is definitely a pretty cool film, and one that I just feel like, once again, I mean, not to be a broken record here, just kind of got overlooked. Never hear it mentioned, never hear it talked about, even though it has Darren Aronofsky attached to it as writer. So definitely check that one out. One that I haven't seen in many years, but I'd love to revisit. If I had time, I'd probably watch it today, because this one has one hell of a star-studded cast and director. And this movie is from 1983, and it is called The Keep. This is a Michael Mann film. I want to say it might be even his first film, or definitely one of his first films. This stars Scott Glenn, Ian McKellen, Gabriel Byrne. I mean, it's got one hell of a cast. It also has, I think, Jurgen Prochnow in it, who we should know as Sutter Kane in The Mouth of Madness. But these are Nazis who are sent into Romania, to this fortress, and they inadvertently and accidentally release like this ancient demon evil, and they actually have to enlist the help of a Jewish historian to help fight and combat this thing. The look of the monster and kind of the premise of this actually kind of does remind me a bit of X-Men Apocalypse, so weird little connection there, but regardless. The only thing I could find this streaming on for somebody who has access to it is the Criterion channel. Other than that, I think you can rent it. But yeah, this one didn't have a lot of options there, unfortunately. And I forgot to mention for Below, that is only streaming on Paramount Plus through Apple. Yeah, unfortunately, not all streaming apps are created equal for some weird reason, like Shudder and Paramount Plus and whatnot. There's certain titles that are on Paramount Plus through Apple that is not on Paramount Plus through Prime or Paramount Plus, the app itself. It's only on Paramount Plus if you subscribe to it through Apple. That's some bullshit, I know. Shudder does it all the time, where they're like, oh, it's not on Shudder, it's only on Shudder through Apple or Shudder through Prime. And some of the titles on there are not on the other ones. I don't understand it. It's a licensing thing, I'm sure, but it is super frustrating and annoying when you pay for a subscription for something and they're like, sorry, you don't have the right version of it. It's bullshit. So that's where you can find that one. All right, next up, another one that came out about 5 years ago. We reviewed here on the channel. I really enjoyed the hell out of it. It is a Netflix movie. It's a Spanish film. It is called Valley of the Dead. It is actually set during the Spanish Civil War, but will very much feel like World War II because there are Nazis and zombies. And yeah, I mean, you have these kind of like sworn enemies that were fighting against each other, and they have to combine forces to take on these Nazi zombies. And what this movie does really well for me anyway was character development. I really cared, really enjoyed these characters a lot, was rooting for them. The villain people that you really want to die is very cathartic when they do, and the hero characters that you're rooting for, when they're in trouble, you really feel it. When they die, you really feel it, and you very much are like, you know, following their journey and hoping that they succeed. So I really enjoyed the hell out of this, and I think that it was one that, once again, was not liked all that much upon release, but maybe you should go back and give it a shot if you didn't, or give it another shot if you didn't like it the first time. I don't know. I dug the hell out of it. All right, next up, this movie fucking rules. And this is another one, is like an absolute must Memorial Day movie, because this is like a perfect Memorial Day horror film. And this is VFW from Joe Begos. This one has a stacked cast from Stephen Lang to William Sadler, Martin Kove from Cobra Kai. You got George Wendt, who just died recently, and Fred Williamson. So yeah, you've got a crazy cast here, and this is one of those rare movies where you have a bunch of kind of like old time actors that are really just being used for their names typically in these types of movies, where they just stack the cast so you'll rent it and then you watch it and you're like, oh, this was garbage, this was a letdown. Not this time. These guys are badass. This movie is awesome. And I love the shit out of it. Basically, what happens is this girl steals drugs from this like gang leader, and she runs into a VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars. If you guys don't know what that is, it's a bar where veterans go, and they want to protect the girl. And these guys storm the place, very Assault on Precinct 13 vibes. They try to storm the joint and kill him, but they're taking on old veterans, and they fight back and beat the shit out of these guys, kill them. It's very violent, very gory, very fun, and an absolute must on Memorial Day. This one is only on Hoopla for free, but you can rent it on VOD. All right, next up, we've got 2000. Okay, I should preface this by saying, because this is the channel that covers not only slashers, but also is getting known for its found footage reviews. We have a lot of found footage lovers here, so I can't not mention some found footage films. So I got a couple here for you. First up is The Objective from 2008. This is actually one set in Afghanistan. We're taking a detour finally away from World War II. It feels like almost every one of these is World War II, as I had said it was going to be. Unfortunately, you can only rent this one. There wasn't any other sites that you could get for free, or if you have a membership subscription to something, it just is a VOD only kind of thing. But essentially, these guys are sent in to, their objective is to get somebody out, and when they get in there, it essentially turns into like the Bermuda Triangle of the Middle East. It is done found footage style, and definitely one that you should at least check out if you're a big found footage fan and you want to combine found footage with Memorial Day. So that'll be a good one. And if you want a different one here, I'm sure you've heard about this one, but I have to mention it just because the creature effects in this movie are phenomenal. And unfortunately, that's kind of where the positives stop for me. But it is found footage. It's from 2013. It's called Frankenstein's Army. It really does. I mean, it has such awesome creature effects, and there's a ton of them. There's such like cool imagery on the screen constantly while this person's kind of going through this Nazi mad scientist experimental laboratory, and you see all these really, really cool kind of tragic characters that have been mutilated and turned into these wild looking creatures. So definitely one I think is worth a watch, at least for the creature effects alone. But the film itself, I'm not a huge fan of, unfortunately. But it is found footage. It has some cool stuff to look at, and it is on Prime, Screenbox, and you can get it for free on so many different places like Hoopla, Tubi, Plex, Fandango. Freaking, it's probably on so many others. It was just like there were so many that I just stopped after a while. So yeah, you can easily get your hands on that one. And and because I mentioned slashers, I guess I'll throw an audible here. This is an obvious one, but this is kind of a cheat. But I'll bring it up because why not? It's the Prowler. This is, of course, dealing with a slasher that is in like World War II gear when he's killing people. He gets like a Dear John letter in the beginning, and we flash forward to the 80s. So it is a like World War II. It's the end of World War II, and everyone's come home, and he's come home to kill because somebody broke up with him and he's pissed off about it. And then 30 years later, it picks up again. I've always found this movie to be rather dull and boring, but it is Tom Savini doing some great gore gags. So for the kills alone, definitely check out The Prowler. And I figured with the World War II attachment, as I said, that's a bit of a cheat because we're not really dealing with soldiers as the central characters, but the killer is dressed like a war veteran, and that's not very often that happens. So anyways, that's it. Quick little list, just kind of thrown together while my wife was doing yoga. So there you go. So happy Memorial Day, everybody. And let me know what you are planning on watching today. And if there's any other titles that you think I missed that need to be on this list, throw them in the comments below. I look forward to seeing them, and I'll see you down there. Adios.